This man's name is Greg, and he is the president of a non-profit that teaches Christians. In this video, he explains how to deal with Christians who support same-sex marriage. Let us watch.
Same thing with same-sex marriage. They think, well, what's the difficulty? What's the problem? How is it going to hurt me? And what they're asking themselves is, how is it going to hurt me if the guys down the street walk down the aisle and say I do and live together and whatever? Well, I don't know how that's going to hurt the average Christian. But
Greg says he doesn't know how two men or women getting married will hurt an average Christian. He is lying. He knows exactly that same-sex marriage will not affect any Christian. Because on the final day, we are not judged as a society or as a group or as a family. We are judged individually for our faith and actions. If same-sex marriage is legal in your country, it will not affect your chances to get to heaven. And Greg knows that. Let's watch the remaining part of the video.
That's not what's at stake with same-sex marriage. The real question is not what's going to happen if those guys walk down the aisle, but what's going to happen if the culture, if the state, if the law declares officially that there's no distinction between same-sex unions and heterosexual unions. What will be the impact then? Well, that's going to have a huge impact, because now you have the law weighing in, saying that there is no distinction, and this is going to influence individual liberties, this is going to influence parental rights, and this is going to influence religious freedoms.
In the next part of the video, he explains the real reason why he is opposed to same-sex marriage. Greg thinks it is unfair that the law sees his heterosexual marriage and the same-sex marriage as equal. Remember, the law does not say one marriage is more or less than the other. It just says both have equal rights and protections. Now that does not sit well with Greg, because as a heterosexual white Christian man, he thinks his individual liberties, his parental rights and religious freedoms are being infringed. Let's see what are those individual liberties that are in danger. Greg thinks his freedom of speech is being taken away because he can no longer call gay men or women by derogatory or hateful terms. He cannot discriminate or fire his employees based on their sexual orientation. He cannot deny loans or long-term leases or any other service as a service provider to same-sex couples. He cannot do any of those things. We all have to pity Greg that his imaginary rights are being taken away. Now coming to parental rights. It's not like a gay couple is going to come and take away his children. Instead of teaching his kids that a family has only one mommy and one daddy, occasionally he has to go through a difficult time when he has to teach his kids that some families have two moms or two dads. That is so uncomfortable for him that it is almost burning him. He wants his kids to be at least as hateful and bigoted as he is. The third one he is afraid are his religious freedoms. It's not like a gay couple can take away his right to read his Bible or pray to God or go to church or teach a sermon that homosexuality is a sin or even celebrate Christmas. Those rights are all intact. The only thing he cannot do is discriminate against someone citing his religion. Unfortunately for Greg, this nation is not governed by one religion to give him a free hand to discriminate against anyone. I'm so sad for you, buddy.
So I think that there's a lot of Christians who adopt these views because it's uncomfortable to go otherwise, but they haven't really thought about it. One final thought, though. I think there are some people who adopt these views because they're embarrassed in a certain sense to take the other side. It's easier to flow through life kind of agreeing with the masses.
Now, in the last part of this video, he thinks that Christians who support same-sex marriage do so because it is either uncomfortable or embarrassing not to. No, Greg. Those Christians support because it is ethically and morally wrong to deny people equal rights and protections based on their sexual orientation. Not long ago, bigots like you opposed equal rights and protections for African Americans in this country, saying that your individual liberties and religious freedoms will be hurt. They even quoted scripture to support their point of view. Similarly, there were bigots who opposed interracial marriages, saying that their rights will be taken away. Finally, the reason he did this video is because he thinks Christians who support same-sex marriage are betrayers, just like racists used to think about whites who supported blacks during the civil rights movement. He is threatened by these Christians because he thinks they will no longer tolerate his bigotry and hatefulness in civil society.